Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back, putting a positive spin on the Lords of Salem. This one isn't just a positive spin, it's a superlative spin. I want to start this video by saying this. Out of all the movies Jason and I have watched for our Positive Spin series, The Lords of Salem is my favorite. Now, I probably shouldn't have spoiled that, because chances are, at some point, Jason and I will be ranking movies we watched for Positive Spin. But it had to be said. I'll even go a step further and tell you this. The Lords of Salem is a masterpiece. I know that word gets thrown around a lot, but this truly is a masterpiece, and I'm not just talking about a modern-day horror masterpiece. I'm talking about an all-time horror masterpiece. Many will disagree, obviously, because The Lords of Salem is a pretty hated movie. With that being said, it's also sort of divisive, because then there are others like myself, and like Jason, who truly love this film. There are those who consider this to be Rob Zombie's greatest film so far, and others, like us, who call it a masterpiece. I used to say House of a Thousand Corpses was my favorite Rob Zombie movie, but The Lords of Salem has since surpassed that. I just can't get enough of it. I can't watch it enough. In fact, Jason and I watched this one together multiple times before filming our Positive Spin videos. So what is it about the Lords of Salem that some people do hate? There are those who claim it's boring, and honestly, that sort of pisses me off. Boring. How is this boring? Jason and I discussed this at length, and we could not figure it out. I'm gonna use that word originality again. You know, the thing horror fans claim they want. Well, in Lords of Salem, you get that. Yet people bitch and moan and complain. A lot of people also give Rob Zombie a hard time for casting the same people in his films. But a lot of directors do that, and no one bats an eye. Sherry Moon Zombie receives the most negativity in that regard. But if you were a director with a wife who was an actress, wouldn't you cast her too? What's so wrong about that? I mean, she's nice to look at for one thing. There are those right now who are saying, but she can't act. And I say, well, I think you're wrong. And by the way, when did horror fans become so obsessed with acting? We grew up loving movies like Friday the 13th sequels and other slasher films. You're telling me those movies had good acting? As someone who personally loves nostalgia, I can tell you that a lot of you get too wrapped up in nostalgia. You love movies that are objectively worse than movies you claim to hate. The Lords of Salem, which was released in 2012, is a perfect example of that. This one has now made it into my top 20 personal favorite horror films of all time. Not only is it a personal favorite, I truly think it is one of the greatest horror films ever made, and I stand by that statement. But back to Sherry Moon Zombie. Say what you want about her, but I think she's fantastic in this film. The Lords of Salem is very character-driven, and she's the main character, so a lot of it falls on her shoulders. She's a huge positive for me, and she's naked in this as well, so that's another one. The supporting cast is also great. It consists of Meg Foster, Jeff Daniel Phillips, Ken Foree, Judy Geeson, Dee Wallace, Michael Berryman, the late Sid Haig, and Bruce Davison, who gives a standout performance, along with Sherry Moon Zombie. Rob Zombie filmed The Lords of Salem on location in Salem, Massachusetts. That is another huge positive. Interestingly, Heidi's apartment in The Lords of Salem is very close to Allison's house in Hocus Pocus. You can literally do a walking tour of both movies in the same vicinity. Living not far from Salem myself, I can tell you how immaculate it is the way Rob captured the true feel of the town. I've been to Salem countless times, both before the movie was made and after. I've walked the same streets featured in the movie and visited the locations. Again, it's amazing to me how the true feel of Salem is captured on film. You almost feel like you're in Salem. You can smell the autumn air and hear the fall leaves crunch underneath your feet. There is a realism to it all, and not just the setting, but the characters as well. The radio station looks like an actual radio station. The DJs seem like they're real DJs. And the characters appear as though they've known each other for years. That's one of the positives that comes with casting the same actors and actresses. The apartments look lived in. All of this realism in The Lords of Salem is another positive for me. The soundtrack, and this should go without saying, is brilliant, especially the Lords song, and if you've seen the movie, you know to which song I am referring. The scene when it's first played is genuinely creepy. Seeing how it affects all of the women in town is chilling. The storyline is original and puts a creative twist on the witchy history of Salem. In addition to a nude Sherry Moon zombie, we get some additional full frontal nudity, both of the good and not so good variety. The effects are superb and, again, genuinely creepy. When this film was released, it was marketed as one of the scariest movies ever made, and you know what? I sort of agree. Trust me, I'm not someone who can easily answer when asked, what's the scariest movie you've ever seen, because movies don't really scare me. But The Lords of Salem has some scary moments. The use of light, shadow, and colors in The Lords of Salem is simply beautiful. Interestingly, on one of our rewatches of this, Jason and I watched The Lords of Salem in black and white. That made it a very unique viewing experience, and I loved that version of the film as well. I absolutely love the closing credits, with the music playing over the location shots. At one point, I described the movie to Jason as comfortingly uncomfortable. He agreed. That's the perfect way to describe The Lords of Salem. The whole thing just makes you feel unsettled. And that's sort of what it feels like walking through Salem. There is a darkness in the town and a darkness in this movie. It's like this inevitable doom. At the same time, there's something so comforting about both. Being there and watching this. I can't really explain it. It's just something I feel. It's strange. While watching this, you think, I never want to go there, while also thinking, I'd like to go there. The movie sort of messes with your mind in that way, and I love it. Even with all of the disturbing imagery and downright terrifying moments, The Lords of Salem has heart. There is a certain scene that literally makes me sad every time I watch it. A few, actually, but one of them is like a gut punch. I could probably go on and on and on talking about The Lords of Salem, but I think I've said enough. I can sum it up with this. The Lords of Salem is a masterpiece. The thing is, though, you don't have to agree. This is just my positive spin. Be sure to check out Jason's as well. To which hated film will we next give a positive spin? Check back soon to find out. Until then, what are your thoughts on The Lords of Salem? Do you hate it or do you love it? And why? Comment below and let me know. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that thumbs up and be kind. Subscribe.